to Miss Cindy's kitchen. Today we're going to be making a spiral cut ham from the grocery store, and then we're going to be serving it along with some scalloped potatoes. And before we proceed, I'd like you to like and subscribe my channel, and then also in the comment field, please give me any feedback or questions or ideas for future episodes, because I'd love to hear from you. So, when you get a ham from the grocery store, it normally comes in a mesh bag that you can carry it, kind of like the turkey did, and it has a foil wrapper on the outside. But I wanted to take it apart before I started the show so I could see what the cooking instructions were, because hams vary a little bit. Pretty much a spiral cut ham is already cooked. You're just warming it through. So the internal temperature will be 140 degrees. This did not come with cooking or reheating instructions, so I looked it up, and the recipe I found suggested a temperature of 250 degrees and 15 minutes per pound of ham. And this is 9.3 pounds, and that calculates out to 140 minutes, which is, well, 2 hours would be 120 minutes. And so it'll be just over 2 hours to cook the ham to make it completely hot. And then just before it's done, we will turn the temperature up and put the glaze on. It came with the glaze packet, and I'll show you how to make that a little later in the episode. But for now, you can see how to make a nice ham out of a grocery store ham. And just like on a turkey, there's a lot of packaging. So you always need to have some good kitchen scissors. And clean hands, of course. And you don't necessarily need this in your kitchen. She tends to like watching us cook. So most importantly, on the ham, you're going to have this little disc covering the bone end. So make sure you take that off before cooking. And this actually has some juice in it, so I gotta be careful I don't spill it all over the counter. So, now you've got the ham with just the rind on the ham, and you always want to cook it cut side down, and it's suggested just leaving it open, no foil or anything. So we're going to bake this at 250 degrees, and the cook time is approximately 2 hours and 20 minutes. So while this is cooking, we're going to show you how to make some yummy scalloped potatoes to go with it. Okay, and now that we've got the ham in the oven, we're going to start on our potatoes. And Miss Madison is going to get the potatoes scalloped by using this mandolin. So while she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and chop some onions.
So yeah, basically you take the thing off the top.
So what is that you're using?
It's a mandolin, and basically when you slide it across, it raises this blade up. It has multiple different blades, but this is the blade we're using. So it will slice it and make it nice thin. Slices for the scalloped potatoes, and then you slice it into water so it keeps them from browning.
No, I know you're about to start, but what temperature is the water?
Just like tap cold.
Just tap cold?
Pretty cold.
Okay.
I don't know, I just keep it cold, don't make it too hot. But yeah, anyways, start with your potatoes and just... I start without this because it will just start going back and forth. So yeah. And it will be kind of difficult, depending. Sometimes it doesn't work, or it like will buffer. So about when I get to there, I put this on. That's what I'm talking about, it's buffering.
Oh wow, so you get your nice thin potato slices.
And you got the butt end, which you can just put in there. And I'm gonna with my clean hands. I'm gonna show you. This is pretty much how thin it gets in there. And there might be a few spots on there, but you can like afterwards cut all the bad spots off. And how old is this thing again, Mom?
About 16 years. You were a baby when I got it.
So yeah, this thing is just a bit younger than me, and it still works pretty well for its age. Most things nowadays, if you were to buy one of these now, probably wouldn't last for like 5 years.
So, where would you find one of those?
Any store that sells kitchenware.
This one is Pampered Chef. I don't think they make any anymore. Okay, so once you have a pretty much full, I still have some more, but pretty much full bowl of potatoes, you need to get a different colander and drain this all out, and then like rinse it off a bit, and then fill it up with cold water again. So
how thin did they get?
depends. Some at the bottom got like pretty thick, and some got pretty thin. So I don't know. It really depends. It's like, see, this one's pretty thick. Well, this one's pretty thin. So.
Oh, so kind of.
See, so I don't know. It really depends. I don't know how I got them so different, but yeah. So you take your colander.
How many gram?
Hold on, I got it. Yeah, rinse out your colander. Got all the gunk out of there. Okay, so have that. Excuse me. You take these potatoes and you put this back in there, and then you drain them. Try to pretty much get all of the water out. See, because there's just kind of a bit of a residue on there. You want nice clean potatoes. So you rinse out. You don't have to wash, just rinse. And same thing. Kind of spray them off with cold water. Recently cold water. And then take them off. Put them back in here. And then fill it up again with cold water. So it keeps them from browning, but it also gets all the weird residue off of the potatoes. So yeah, that's pretty much what I need to show you. And then once you do this, you can, if you're kind of too many, you can just get a different bowl and repeat the same process. Slice them and then fill with water.
And now we're going to show you how to make the cream sauce to go on the scalloped potatoes, while Maddie finishes up scalloping the potatoes. So you're going to turn on your stove, and then 1/4 cup of butter, which is half a stick. Talia's drooling with her eyes with butter. She's like, that looks so good. So I'm just going to roll this around the skillet so you get it all nice and greased. And then while that's cooking, we're going to cook 1 diced onion, and these onions are slightly larger than baseball size. So that.
So you chopped them.
I chopped them, and it's about a 1/4 inch dice. And then it calls for 2 cloves of garlic, but we really like garlic, so I'm just going to use 2 spoonfuls of garlic that's already minced. And as if you can't tell, we don't like garlic enough. I got this bottle at Costco because it was a great price and we love garlic. And you use 2 big spoonfuls of garlic.
Is it a tablespoon or?
That's a teaspoon, like a heaping teaspoon.
Okay.
So now you're going to saute all this until the onions are slightly translucent, which they're kind of like see-through. Some people don't know the big words, so I try to make it simple. So translucent means see-through. Right now the onions are opaque, which is solid color because were just cut. And sometimes I break up the butter to make it melt faster.
So does it matter which onions you use?
White or yellow onions are preferred. Or sometimes they even call them brown onions. But This is the type of onion I'm using.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just got the name of the grower on there, but just a onion with a brown skin. Because if you use the ones that have the purple skins, that they're called red onions, they sometimes make your food funny colors because they have a lot of color in their skin and their flesh. So those are usually really good for colder foods like salads and such. The brown onions and yellow onions are best for sauteing and...
What about a white onion?
Yeah, white onions. Some onions that are white are more the sweeter onions, like the Vidalias. This is just a classic onion, all-purpose onion. So as you can see, as it's cooking, you can get in there, Logan, you can see it's getting kind of translucent. And the onions are starting to soften. And the recipe says it takes about 3 minutes to saute for about 3 minutes. And I'm using this recipe that I made for Thanksgiving that I found. It's on, I just Googled it, and the recipe is from Spend with Pennies. I'll do my best to go in and add a link to that recipe so you all can use it too. Because I found it was a great recipe, easy to follow, and made a great pan of potatoes. So, okay, now the garlic is starting to spit at me, so I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of flour. This is how you make a cream sauce.
Okay.
And if you were to make like potato soup or something of the sort, you make a cream sauce before you build it up into a soup, kind of in this same fashion. So you're just going to stir around until the flour gets all absorbed. And then alternately you're going to put in a little milk and a little broth. It calls for 2 cups of milk. This is 2% milk. I find it to be the best for drinking and cooking because it has enough body to cook with. So when I do this both, I alternate which pitcher I put in. This is chicken broth reconstituted from the powdered chicken broth, because I find that easy. I also get that at Costco because it's great for soup bases and sauces. It adds a lot of flavor. So since you're using 2 different liquids, I just alternate. Probably no more than a 1/4 cup at a time because you want the sauce to thicken as you're stirring ingredients in. See, it gradually comes together and gets more pasty, and at that point you can add more liquid. I think I'm going to switch over to use this whisk. The silicone whisk is really handy because it's great for using with non-stick. And it's one that came in a set I got from Tupperware. Just a nice basic whisk.
So you switch to the whisk when it starts to get a little thicker?
Yeah, and that way it's easier to blend in all the ingredients. We've been working on the sauce, and now that we have almost everything, all the liquid into the sauce, you just want it to boil up in between adding the batches of liquid, so it gives a chance to thicken a little bit. Because you want it to have, you know, like a thin gravy type of thickness. So this is the last of the milk going in. So again, that was 2 cups of milk, 1 cup of chicken broth, and you can use either the liquid chicken broth you buy in a can or a carton, or use the powdered chicken broth. And it's generally 1 cup of water to 1 teaspoon of powdered broth to make a cup of liquid broth. So, and then it calls for a 1/4 teaspoon pepper and a 1/4 teaspoon salt. So I've already got that ready to go, and I'm going to put that in there and stir it in. Okay. And while we're waiting for our sauce to come together, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we welcome all feedback, comments, suggestions for future episodes, because home cooking doesn't have to be complicated. I know there's a lot of home chefs that do a lot of fancy stuff, which is great, But if you're a busy working mom, you don't need to be fancy. You just need to make something tasty that doesn't take forever. And that's what I want you all to see as part of our show, is that you can make great meals at home. And this is 2 cups of shredded cheese. And I decided to get some imported cheese when I was at the store. This is Edam cheese. And it's got a little bit more of a bite than like a cheddar. But Gouda is good.
It's really good.
Yeah. If you want a cheese with a little bit of tang to it. Or if you wanted to use classic cheddar, just use sharp cheddar because it would have a little bit more to it.
What about pepper jack? You know, people love that pepper jack.
If you want to have spicy potatoes, that's fine too. It's the user's preference. I always start out with a core recipe and then I adjust it as I go along to my preferences or to what ingredients I need to substitute. And here you can see the sauce. The cheese is melting into the sauce. So this makes your scalloped potatoes au gratin, which means with cheese. And I prefer a cheese with a little bit more flavor, like the Edam or the Gouda, but cheddar is good. You can use jack cheese. Just use a sharp or a medium at least to have more flavor. So look at that.
Oh, it's so good.
Yep. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause for just a moment and then we'll show you how we assemble the scalloped potatoes. Now we're back and we're going to show you how to assemble the scalloped potatoes au gratin. So we have these nice thinly sliced potatoes. You're going to put 1/3 of the potatoes in the pan. And we have about, it calls for 3 pounds of potatoes, but we'd probably use a little bit closer to like 4.5 because we like potatoes. But you just layer, it doesn't have to be exact. Just try to smooth it out a little bit so the potatoes get all the way cooked. And it says 1/3 of the potatoes in the bottom, and then 1/3 of the sauce on them. So let's go ahead and put some of the sauce. Look at that nice, lovely cream sauce with cheese. Doesn't that look delicious? Just gonna layer that in there. And then we're gonna put another layer of potatoes.
And do you have to like be neat with it or just?
No, you're not being graded on this. You're just gonna eat it when you're done.
Amen to that, yeah.
So, and then while you're prepping the potatoes, while you're slicing them, it's important to put them in water, so that way they don't get brown, or because that's caused by oxidation, and that makes contact with the air. So, put a little bit more sauce in here. The sauce looks so good. We had this at Thanksgiving time and we loved it.
Mm-hmm.
We went through 2 pans of it pretty quick
Yeah,
because
2 pans in like a day.
it was good. And this Edam cheese smells delicious, and we tasted it while we were shredding it, and it is good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually a great deal. It was a ½ pound wedge, and it was only just over $2. So fancy doesn't have to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to shop around and compare prices and look at different options for the ingredients that you're looking for. Because nowadays, you know, times are tight, and sometimes you just can't get certain ingredients, or that's cost prohibitive. So just find something similar that's in the same category that you're looking for, and you can make substitutions. So now we're going to add a little bit more sauce. Ow. And it did say you can add additional salt and pepper while you're assembling it, but I tasted the sauce, and it's actually very well seasoned as it is, because the Edam has a lot of salt in it, that type of cheese. So, we're going to add in some more potatoes. And if you have too many potatoes, I think we are going to end up with too many potatoes, but That's okay. We love potatoes.
Can you really have too many potatoes?
Exactly. You can fry these in a little bit of oil in the skillet and make fried potatoes to go with your breakfast. Or you can just make another casserole. You don't always have to put the same cream sauce in it. And fresh potatoes are the best. So I'm just going to do a little bit more sauce and then another layer of potatoes. And it'll all come together in the oven as it's baking and the potatoes are settling. It'll sink into the sauce. Does that look good, Maddie?
Yeah.
So how long do you bake this for?
It actually calls for 350 degrees at about 45 minutes. And since we've already got the oven at 250 for the ham, we're just going to cook the scalloped potatoes longer at a lower temperature. So it'll cook alongside the ham. And we have a guard dog watching out the door. So I think that's enough potatoes. We'll save the rest to make something else with. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Beautiful cream sauce. And I'm going to scrape this down so I can get the rest of the sauce out of the pan. Ugh. Don't want any of that yumminess to go to waste.
No, ma'am.
Especially when cheese is involved. So.
Dog wants the sauce.
Yeah, she's like, cheese!
Say cheese.
Not just for pictures.
Yeah. I'm going to spread the sauce around. And then, like I said, we're going to put it in the oven. The ham is already cooking at 250 degrees. So we're going to put this in the oven just to cook alongside the ham while the ham is cooking. So even though the recipe calls for 350 for 45 minutes, the oven's already at 250 cooking at the ham. So you can just cook it longer at a lower temperature. The end result will be about the same. So, but that's it for now. And so once this is done baking, it and the ham will be ready. And then we will show you how yummy it all looks. Okay? I'm going to show you how to do the finishing touch on the ham, which is you take the package of Glaze mix that comes with the ham, as it's a spiral ham from the grocery store. They have them at Costco. This one came from Grocery Outlet. But we're going to melt the glaze to where it's smooth. And then I took the ham out in order to glaze it. And when I did that, I turned the oven temperature up to 425. So that will help the potatoes finish off. And then once we glaze the ham, it goes back in the oven for another 10 minutes to set the glaze. And then after that, we will show you our beautiful ham dinner. So,
You just put the powder, the stuff from the pouch. Would you put it in water or anything?
yeah, it calls for 2 tablespoons of water. And so we're just going to dissolve the glaze ingredients in the water. It just has honey and spices in it.
Ooh.
So you don't need to get like $100 ham from Honey Baked Ham. Although if you could afford it, and that's your specialty, you go for it. But for the average family, a $20 ham from the grocery store is a lot more available. And it comes out quite delicious.
Now, what would you say about those canned hams that they sell?
Well, canned hams are good, but they're a good basic ham. But we really like the spiral ham because it's more like fresh ham. Because canned ham is kind of, it's like compressed. It's like there's like ham that's like slices of ham, and then there's lunch meat ham, which is like all chopped up and formed and pressed.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've got the nice beautiful glaze.
Nice.
It foamed up a little bit. And ideally, I would flip the ham over and glaze it so it drizzles from the top to the down here. But I don't have enough talent and enough hands to flip a hot ham over. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to separate the slices. As you can tell, it's just about ready to eat. It's done enough to eat at this point, but we want to put the glaze on. So I'm going to put the sauce on, and then I can use my pastry brush to spread the sauce in between the slices.
Now, what type of heat do you use for the glaze?
It was just kind of like a medium heat, just enough to melt everything together.
Mm.
And then you can even just, like...
Oh, yeah, baby.
Just pour it on, so it'll stick to the outside skin. So then we're going to put it back in the oven. And again, we increased the oven temperature from 250 degrees to 425. So that way it'll help set the glaze on the ham and then help finish the potatoes. So now we've got about 10 minutes back in the oven, and then we'll come back and we'll show you our beautiful ham and scalloped potato dinner. Hi, welcome back to Miss Cindy's Kitchen. We are showing you the great reveal of our glazed spiral ham and our au gratin scalloped potatoes that you watched us make. And just so you know, it does not have to be complicated to cook at home. It just takes a little bit of time to prepare the foods, but home prepared foods are so much tastier and fresher than those you buy ready-made. So I'm going to show you our beautiful glazed ham. I'm going to slice off some right here, and then look at that juicy ham.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to put some on a plate so you all can see what a plate of dinner looks like. Just get a few slices of ham. They're small slices, so we'll get a little extra. Look at that. Yummy, yummy, yummies. And what's always nice to do when you serve meat is take some of the juices from the cooking pan and put it on top of the meat. It helps keep it moist while you're serving it up. And then look at our beautiful scalloped potatoes. Steamy and drippy with goodness. And a simple side dish, canned corn heated up in the microwave. Homemade food doesn't have to be complicated. You can do a couple of dishes you've created and then one that is very simple. So this is a simple dinner of spiral sliced ham, scalloped potatoes, au gratin, and canned corn. If you're having a big family dinner for, say, Christmas or something, you can add like dinner rolls or a tossed salad or a couple other things. So this is a simple holiday dinner, and we thank you for joining us today at Miss Cindy's Kitchen. I'm trying to show you all that home cooking can be fun and easy. It's not too complicated. Just get some good kitchen equipment. It makes your life a lot easier. And again, please like and subscribe and share to your friends. Any information you have, and put it in the comments, any feedback, suggestions. But again, thank you for joining us today at Miss Cindy's Kitchen, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.